she stopped at the baby gate, she said, "Love you, Willie, good night." And she skipped off to bed. Because in the morning I let her sleep in a little bit. And when I went upstairs, she was gone.
These were the last moments of 12-year-old Charlotte O'Brien before her mother found her lifeless body in her bedroom. For 2 years, Charlotte endured relentless bullying, both at Santa Sabina College and online. Her parents begged the school to intervene, but their concerns were brushed aside, labeled mere friendship issues. Meanwhile, the torment continued. A week before her death, Charlotte had gotten her phone back, but that night, something pushed her over the edge. This case is as haunting as it is heartbreaking, a harsh reminder of what happens when bullying goes unchecked. Let's get into it. The night of September 9th, 2024 was supposed to be like any other, but for 12-year-old Charlotte O'Brien, it would be her last. Somewhere in the dim glow of her bedroom, tears streamed down her face as she lifted her phone and snapped a picture of herself crying. A final message to the world, sent to her friend, Ava. "I'm sorry." Ava's heart sank the moment she saw it. She already knew Charlotte was struggling, knew the relentless torment she faced at school, but something about this message, about the way it landed in the stillness of the night, sent a wave of dread crashing over her. "Sorry for what?" she typed back, fingers trembling. She didn't wait for a response. She called, again and again. Each ring felt like a scream into the void. "Answer, please. Are you all right? Please tell me you're all right." Desperation clawed at Ava's throat as she tried to reach her friend, watching the silence stretch out in front of her like an open grave. "Charlotte, you're scaring me." No answer. "Charlotte, please, just say something." And then, finally, Charlotte responded, a flood of words, pain pouring through the screen. She told Ava everything, how the other kids had created a group chat just to rip her apart, how they spat cruel words like venom, calling her fat, ugly, telling her she should just end it all. Ava was horrified. "That's not true. You're not any of those things. Don't listen to them, please." Charlotte's sobs still rang through the call, broken, exhausted. "I'm gonna take a shower," she whispered. Ava clung to hope. "Okay, call me back in 5 minutes." 5 minutes. For 5 agonizing minutes, Ava sat frozen, staring at her screen, waiting for Charlotte's name to light up again, waiting for proof that her friend was still there. But something felt wrong. That knot in her stomach twisted tighter. Then a message appeared, "I'm sorry." And then, nothing. Charlotte was gone. By morning, her body was found, and the world around her, her family, her friends, her school, was left to pick up the shattered pieces of a life stolen too soon. What happened to Charlotte? And more importantly, why didn't anyone stop it? To understand this, we have to go back to the beginning. Charlotte Frances O'Brien was just a 12-year-old girl living in Sydney, Australia, with her mother, Kelly O'Brien, her stepfather, Matt, and her baby brother, Will. She wasn't just any kid, she was the heart of her family.
She was the sweetest, kindest, funniest, most helpful, amazing girl in the world. She was the best big sister, the best daughter. She just loved to love and to be loved.
Charlotte was full of life. She loved swimming, practically living in the water whenever she could, and would joke that she was like Moana, never wanting to leave the ocean. Even though Matt and Kelly weren't officially married, they were a family in every sense of the word. Matt was more than a stepfather. He was dad. She called him that. She meant it, and she made sure he knew it. Every Father's Day, she'd write him heartfelt messages, expressing just how much he meant to her. In what would be her final card to him, she wrote, "Dear Dad, you are more than a captain. You are also like the sea. You can be calm and powerful, strong when you have to be. Dear Dad, I will always cherish you as I become the captain you taught me to be." Matt later said that Charlotte loved to be loved, and her parents loved her just as fiercely in return. Her sudden death came just weeks before a moment that was supposed to be one of the happiest in their lives, Kelly and Matt's wedding in October. Charlotte had been so excited about it. Just days before everything changed, she and her mother went shopping for dresses together. A family friend later recalled how symbolic that moment was. Charlotte picked a pink dress, Kelly picked a blue one. It was her way of keeping them connected, a quiet little tradition between them. Now that dress would never be worn.
Hi, I'm going to my Year 6 farewell tonight. I have my bag and I'm really excited, so bye.
From the outside, Charlotte seemed like any other happy, well-mannered student at Santa Sabina College. She was polite, bright, never the kind of kid to cause trouble. But darkness doesn't always make itself obvious. Sometimes it hides, lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to creep in. For Charlotte, that moment came in 2022 when she was in 5th grade. That was the year Kelly gave her a phone. Nothing major, just a way for them to stay in touch.
I actually gave her a phone in Year 5 because I was late picking her up from school and she was waiting on the corner crying. It was only a few minutes, but we both felt horrible about it. So straight to Telstra we went, and she had a phone.
At the time, it felt like the right decision, but looking back, Kelly would come to regret it. The internet is a world of its own, full of places that can't be unseen, doors that don't always close once they're opened, and curiosity has a way of leading you exactly where you weren't supposed to go. At first, it was all innocent. Charlotte wanted to be part of the digital world her classmates were in. She begged for TikTok, Snapchat, all the apps the other kids had. Kelly was cautious, but eventually gave in, setting strict rules. But rules are easy to break when curiosity is stronger than fear. The phone was taken away more than once, yet Charlotte always found a way to get it back. And then, in August 2022, everything changed with one simple Google search. Charlotte had questions, ones no one had ever really answered. So, she did what anyone would do. She typed in her biological father's name, not knowing what she was about to uncover. What she found hit her like a gut punch. Her father had been in prison for over 7 years, a violent crime, a past that had been kept from her, and now it was staring her in the face. Confusion, anger, sadness, it all came rushing in at once, too much to process. She didn't know what to do with it, how to carry the weight of this new reality. So, she turned to the people she trusted most. She told her friends, hoping they'd keep her secret, hold space for her pain. At first, they did. They listened. They reassured her. But middle school is a cruel place, and secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. The whispers started, then the stares, then the jokes. The thing she had only just begun to understand about herself was suddenly out in the open, twisted into something ugly. The teasing grew worse. The laughter stung. The isolation cut deeper. Little by little, Charlotte began to withdraw. At home, Kelly noticed. A mother always does. Charlotte wasn't talking as much. She wasn't smiling like she used to. Something was wrong.
I could see something was wrong. And I said, sweetie, I can see you're not okay, but when you're ready to talk, I'm here. And she just burst into tears. And she said, I'm a monster, I'm a monster, everybody hates me, everybody's so mean to me, I'm a monster.
Desperate to help, Kelly reached out to the school in August 2022. I was devastated to hear what she said to her friends. The thought that someone else's actions are still plaguing my baby years later is very hard, but I understand that she is significantly older and now may feel the need to confide and trust in her friends. Kelly wanted to protect her. She wanted to believe the school would step in and that her daughter was okay. But sometimes, the worst wounds are the ones no one can see. The school said they took bullying seriously, but talk is cheap, and for Charlotte, nothing actually changed. The whispers kept coming. The stares didn't stop. The cruel jokes and cold shoulders followed her through the halls like a shadow she couldn't outrun. Every day, she came home feeling more and more like she didn't belong. But Kelly, she refused to accept that. She kept pushing, kept hoping, kept sending emails, believing that if she just reached out enough times, someone, anyone, would step in and do something. In November 2022, she tried again. Another email, another plea. Charlotte was struggling, and she needed real help, not just empty reassurances. The school's response? A teacher had spoken with Charlotte and her classmates, and the girls had all agreed to be kind to each other. But words don't erase pain, and kindness isn't real when it's forced. The teasing didn't stop. The isolation only got worse. Charlotte did her best to hold it together, but little by little, she was slipping away. By 6th grade, nothing had improved. Kelly wasn't giving up, though. She kept fighting, kept trying. Another email in May 2023, another in June 2024, each one pleading for the same thing, help my daughter, but help never came. Charlotte was coming home crying almost every day. The girls were relentless, harassing her, going out of their way to make her miserable. They even started physically hurting her, hitting her with their bags, pretending it was an accident. Every time Kelly reached out, the school brushed it off. They didn't call it bullying. They called it friendship issues, as if that somehow made it okay, as if that made the pain any less real. Then came August 2024. Charlotte had made it to 7th grade, her first year of high school, a fresh start, a new beginning. Except there was no fresh start, no relief. The bullying hadn't stopped. It had only gotten worse. She was crying nearly every day.
I found out after she passed that she was hiding in toilets and, just so afraid, but she didn't tell me.
On August 9th, Kelly sent another email. Charlotte wasn't going to school that day. She just couldn't. She wasn't coping, and she needed a break. Kelly had tried everything, emails, meetings, begging the school to do something, but nothing ever changed. By August 17th, Charlotte was barely hanging on. Kelly took her to the doctor, knowing things had reached a breaking point. She let the school know what was going on, and their response? Cold, dismissive, empty. They said they had investigated the latest bullying incident, but the girls denied it. So that was it. Case closed. Move on. As if Charlotte could. As if it were that simple. No matter how hard Kelly fought for her daughter, no one really listened. No one at school truly saw what was happening. And with nowhere else to turn, Charlotte looked for connection in the only place left, the internet. That's how she met Ava. Ava was a 7th grader from suburban Sydney, a girl Charlotte had never met in person. But in the cold, isolating world Charlotte lived in, Ava became a rare source of warmth. They talked about school, about life, about the little things that made them happy. And most importantly, Ava listened. She made Charlotte feel seen. She reminded her that she mattered, that things could get better. Charlotte needed that more than anything. Their chats became a lifeline, one small piece of comfort in a world that felt like it was closing in on her. But no matter how much Ava tried to lift her spirits, the weight of Charlotte's reality didn't go away. The taunts, the exclusion, the school's cold indifference, it all chipped away at her, bit by bit. And then, September 9th, 2024, something was different that day. Charlotte seemed lighter, happier than she had in weeks. Her stepfather, Matt, would later recall how full of life she was, dancing around the house in that silly, carefree way she always did. She baked banana bread and shared a piece with him. She played with her mother and baby brother, laughing and smiling.
You know, she'd come home from school that day and she'd had a great day. Kelly had made her a favourite dinner that night. She ran in the house to have a dinner. You know, that night she skipped off to bed, literally skipped.
For a moment, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, things were turning around. But the next morning, everything shattered. Kelly walked into Charlotte's room and found her gone. A note was left behind, a final goodbye. She wrote about the bullying, about the cruelty she faced at school, about how life was too difficult to continue. And in her last request, she asked her parents to tell the school. Kelly and Matt were shattered. This wasn't just grief. It was a kind of loss so deep, so consuming, that it changes you forever.
I just kept saying to the police that morning, where did she get the knowledge and the means? Where did she get the knowledge and the means? I couldn't wrap my head around it. And he just said to me, this is the age of information. She just needed to Google it. And for me, I'm so devastated by that because I gave her that phone.
And then came another devastating blow. They learned that even after Charlotte had gone to bed that night, the torment hadn't stopped. She was still being harassed on Snapchat. Overwhelmed, she called her online friend, Ava, completely distraught over the cruel messages she had just read.
We came across a friend of Charlotte's that she had met online, and she had shared with us some of the things that Charlotte had spoken to her about that night after she went up to bed. And she had called her just completely distressed, and shared the messages that she had read, what we've been told. But what I will tell you is what we've been told is some of the worst words that anybody should have to read, let alone a 12-year-old girl.
The very next day, Kelly sent an email to the school. It wasn't just words on a screen. It was raw, desperate, a mother's heartbreak laid bare. My beautiful girl took her own life last night because of the relentless friendship issues she faced. She didn't deserve to go to and from school crying almost every day. She didn't deserve girls to bark in her face or scream out her name and run away, to purposely hit her with their bag and say, whoops. She didn't deserve the pain she was in. She deserved love and kindness. She deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. My darling baby angel is gone because I didn't make a big enough noise for her. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Broken forever. Desperate to make Charlotte's story heard, Kelly and Matt turned to radio host Ben Fordham. Before reading their letter on air, Fordham warned listeners it would be tough to hear. With a heavy heart, he read about Charlotte's bullying, her goodbye note, and how the school dismissed concerns. As Fordham read her final messages, his voice cracked. For a moment, the studio fell silent, the weight of her story too much to bear. Kelly later released a statement, thanking Ben Fordham for standing up for Charlotte, something she admitted she felt she had failed to do. But she also had something important to say. She didn't want anyone placing blame on the other girls. She stressed that they were just kids too, and they didn't truly understand the weight of their actions. Charlotte, she said, had made a mistake in a moment of deep grief. She didn't mean for this to happen. In response to the growing public outcry, Santa Sabina College issued a statement saying that some of the claims surrounding Charlotte's death did not align with their records. They insisted that their focus was on supporting students students in the wake of the tragedy. The school urged the media to be cautious in how they reported on the situation, warning that misinformation could harm other vulnerable students. While they acknowledged the importance of raising awareness about mental health, they emphasized that this was a sensitive situation involving children and needed to be handled carefully. But Charlotte's parents refused to let the conversation end there. In the weeks following her passing, they launched Charlotte's Legacy, an online fundraiser for Kids Helpline, a service dedicated to supporting children struggling with their mental health. Matt said that Charlotte would never have wanted them to be broken. She wanted kindness. She wanted people to care. But they weren't just raising money. They were demanding real change in schools.
Look, we do need change. This can't be the best that we can do for our kids. And so, you know, bullying today is very different from when it was when I was back in the schoolyard. Most of your problems were left at the school gates, but it's different now. It follows kids home.
In the days after Charlotte's passing, her aunt, Melinda Roger, placed a small memorial outside Santa Sabina College, a quiet tribute to honor her memory. But just a day later, it was gone. The school claimed they had removed it for student well-being, supposedly following advice from mental health experts. However, when a radio host reached out to those experts, they denied ever giving that recommendation. The decision stunned many and raised serious questions about the school's motives. After public backlash, the school issued an apology, admitting they could have handled the situation better. They later met with Charlotte's family, but Matt walked away disappointed, feeling they still weren't truly listening.
Clutching a teddy tight, Matt and Kelly O'Brien mourn their little girl. Inside Charlie the bear are the ashes of their daughter Charlotte, lost to suicide at just 12 years old.
Charlotte's story spread across Australia, eventually reaching the highest levels of government. Even Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoke out, saying Charlotte should have been safe and that her school had a duty to protect her. Determined to turn their grief into action, her parents traveled to Canberra to meet with the Prime Minister, pushing for a law that would raise the minimum age for social media to 16.
My personal opinion, giving our kids these phones, we're giving them weapons. We're giving them the world at their fingertips.
But before they even met with the Prime Minister, Albanese had already taken action. He announced that the government would introduce world-leading legislation to ban social media for anyone under 16, no exceptions, not even with parental permission. His stance was firm. Social media was hurting kids, and it was time to step in. He talked about the thousands of parents, grandparents, and guardians he had spoken with, all sharing the same concerns. His goal? To give parents the power to say, "Sorry, mate, that's against the law," but not everyone was on board. Critics argued that banning social media wouldn't actually stop kids from using it. If anything, it could push them into riskier hidden corners of the internet.
Children will find their way online, and they're going to find their way online into darker spaces than the ones that are already there.
Despite the backlash, the bill passed in November 2024 and is set to take effect by the end of 2025. Whether it will actually protect kids the way lawmakers intend remains to be seen. But what do you think? Was social media the final push that led Charlotte to this heartbreaking end? And will banning it actually make a difference in the fight against bullying? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. And if this story shook you, there's more where that came from. Check out our other deep dives, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a twisted true crime story.